that outcome is achieved. So today we have highly established and well experienced and recognized speakers in the field who will talk about nuances in managing personal finance and investment. So I welcome Mr. Amit Grover and Mr. Manoj Kansara on behalf of BNCP. And without much ado, I request the Smriti and Harshi to take the proceedings forward. Thank you once again to both the speakers for accepting our invitation. And really, your words of wisdom will definitely be beneficial for our students. Thanks once again. Over to you, Harshi and Smriti.
Thank you, Sujata ma'am, for this wonderful and energetic start to the session. I'm sure our participants are also very eager to know more about the different ways to manage their finances. We are extremely delighted to welcome our speakers for the day, Mr. Amit Grover and Mr. Rakesh Kansara. Mr. Amit Grover is a CF3 Level 3 candidate and a mechanical engineer with an MBA in Marketing and Finance with over 13 years of experience in financial services. Mr. Amit has conducted more than 700 sessions on topics of equity, fixed income, behavior finance, sales and financial planning. He has also conducted sessions for various corporates which include Reliance Industries, Amazon, Pepsi, S&P Global, Bosch, IBM and many more. Our second speaker for the day is Mr. Rakesh Kansara. He is the founder of Magnus Financial Services and mutual fund distributor. He has an experience of 25 plus years in this field dealing into various financial instruments. Presently, he is successfully managing investments of more than 400 families. If the participants have any questions for the speaker, please do post them in the chat box. We will take the Q&A session at the end. Over to you, Amit sir.
Thank you. Just a minute, I'm just opening my presentation. Okay, good evening everyone. Today we'll have a very just can someone confirm, is the presentation visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so good evening everyone. Today we'll talk about a very interesting topic. It's personal finance. It's more personal and less of finance. I'll try to make it as simple as possible so that all the students and the parents along with them will be able to understand the basic premise of finance. Unfortunately, the topic of money and finance is not taught in school. Neither it's taught in higher education, whether it's MBA, BMS, or even pharmaceutical, or any profession. If you look at in higher education, the topic of personal finance, unfortunately, is not being taught, and that's a very sad and ironical part. The topic which is actually the most important subject, which in fact should be taught in school and college and even in higher education, unfortunately is not being taught. And that's the reason why when people come in the real life, they don't know how to deal with money, how to save money, how to invest money, how to deal with the complexity of the markets. they feel everything is very complicated, and they tend to make a lot of mistakes in their life when it comes to personal finance. What we'll do in the next 35-40 minutes, I'll try to simplify all the principles of personal finance in a very simplistic fashion, so that all the students who are listening to me will be able to manage their goals. Whatever I speak is from my personal experiences, and also based on my 15 years of experience in equity markets and investments in general. Now, let me start by talking about the rules of personal finance. If you are playing any game, okay, be it cricket, hockey, or any game, first of all, it's very important to understand the rules of the game. Okay, so in a similar fashion, even personal finance has got certain rules. And the interesting point is, no matter wherever you go across the world, or any place you go, even in India, whether it's North India, South India, East India, West India, the rules of personal finance will exactly remain the same. Just a minute. I'm sorry. So basically the rules of personal finance, irrespective of wherever you are, the rules remain the same. Why? Because the rules of personal finance are quite similar like gravity. Gravity is same across the world, and the same way the personal finance rules are very similar. What I will do in the entire session is trying to explain the rules of personal finance, and at the same time I'll also try to explain you what are the mistakes which generally people do when it comes to personal finance. Let me start. Most important principle. Why we have to save and invest. I'll try to explain this with a very simplistic example. This is a movie called as Diwar, a very classical movie released in 1975. The cost of a movie ticket was 3 rupees. If anybody would have been in Bombay, the Gaiety Galaxy Cinema, which is in Bandra, the cost of a movie ticket in 1975 was 3 rupees. And we all know today if you have to go to a multiplex, the cost is 300 rupees. In simple words, this is called as inflation. The prime reason why you should, I should, and everybody should save and invest is because we have to defeat this enemy which is called as inflation. And when I say inflation, across goods and services you can see inflation. When I did my engineering back in 2002, my annual fees was 5,000 rupees. Just mere 5,000 rupees was my annual fees in mechanical engineering. Today my son, who is in class 3, goes to a school, his annual fees is 1 lakh rupee. And that in simple term is called as inflation. Today the fees which you are paying for doing B Pharma, the similar fashion, if you just look at the fees 20 years back, there would be a big significant difference. The prime reason why you all have to invest and save is because you have to match up with something called as inflation. It is this invisible enemy. Unfortunately, it's not visible on a daily basis, but over a longer period of time, inflation is always visible. Now, once you've understood that principle of inflation, I'll tell you what is the second prime objective when it comes to dealing with money and achieving your goals. We all say that to be successful in anything, not just in personal finance, but to be successful in anything, be it in your examination, it starts with planning. Okay, without planning, if you're just trying to achieve anything, unfortunately you will fail in that. When it comes to personal finance also, it is very important to actually write down and plan for what purpose are you saving and investing your money. And those objectives can be very different for different individuals. For somebody might be saving for their marriage, somebody might be saving for their higher education, somebody might be saving for buying a new house, maybe buying a new car, going for a vacation, the children's higher education, maybe their retirement, or maybe they want to maintain their standard of living. There can be various reasons by which people want to save and invest. It's very important for anyone who is starting to earn, okay, is to define his goals. Without defining your goals, you cannot just invest and say, you know what, I've invested but I don't know my goal. That is a complete mistake which everybody does. You have to define your goal. Why am I saving this money and for what purpose? And then do a simple calculation in terms of if this is what you require after 2 years or 3 years, then how much do I need to save on a monthly basis? Okay, I'll give a very hypothetical and simple example to explain this. Let's say you want to do your higher education, okay, maybe after like 4 years or 3 years, and you realize that okay, you might have to spend around 5 to 7 lakh rupees upfront, and the remaining money you can get as education loan. So you need 7 lakh rupees. Break it down. 7 lakh rupees over 2 years. That means 3.5 lakh rupees per year, which is approximately equal to 30,000 rupees per month. So you'll have to work out a plan where you can at least save and invest 30,000 rupees per month, so that you are able to achieve 7 lakhs down payment. The idea is it's that simple. You could define the goal and then figure out the right asset classes where you can invest so that you can achieve your goal. Without planning, everything is visual thinking. I've seen majority of the people have got visual thinking plans. I want to travel the world, I want to do this, I want to do that. Just visual thinking won't do. Write down your plan and then start saving and investing for that. Once you've understood this, then I'll talk about the various asset classes which you can use to save and invest so that you can achieve your goals. Let me start with explaining you the first investment idea, which is actually a very interesting idea, which can actually help you create amazing amount of wealth. When I say wealth means amazing amount of returns from a long-term perspective. This is something called as equity. A lot of people might think, you know what, I don't understand equity markets, I don't understand stock markets, it's too complicated, it's too much of accounting, finance and all this stuff. And I'll tell you, it's fine if you don't understand everything. You don't even have to understand all that stuff. All you have to do is understand certain basic principles when it comes to equity investments. So what is equity investment? Equity investment in simple terms is investing into businesses. And which businesses am I talking about? All these businesses are in front of us. I'm sure everybody has a car at your home. If you're using a car, then Maruti is making profit out of it. If you're using a two-wheeler, then Bajaj Finance or a Hero is making profit out of it. I'm sure all of you go to DMart to shop. DMart is a listed company. It makes profit when you shop. I'm sure all of you have Airtel or Jio or Vodafone Idea as internet. Whenever you use their data plan, they are making profit out of it. I'm sure everybody is using paint at their house. Asian Paint or Berger Paint is making profit out of it. Every time somebody falls sick and they have medicines, Sun Pharma, Cipla, Dr. Reddy's, Ipca Laboratories and all these companies tend to benefit out of it. When you go to bank, HDFC, ICICI, Kotak Mahindra Bank, SBI, Axis, they tend to make profit out of it. When you take an insurance, HDFC Life, SBI Life, ICICI Lombard, these insurance companies make profit out of it. When you use a metro, infrastructure companies make profit out of it. When you use power, power company like Tata Power, NTPC, Coal India make profit out of it. When you use petrol, HPCL, BPCL, ONGC and all these companies make profit out of it. What I'm trying to say is, what is equity investment? Equity investment is basically investing into businesses, good businesses from a long-term perspective. Now your second question would be, you know what, I don't know how to invest, which companies to invest. It's very complicated reading their balance sheet. It's too finance and too economical, too complicated. Honestly, you don't even have to understand all that stuff. All you have to understand is that you have to invest into businesses. Now, since you don't know which businesses to invest, and that's where equity mutual funds come into picture. What are mutual funds? People like you, people like me, and there are thousands of people and lakhs of people like us. All of us give money to a mutual fund, and in a mutual fund there is a fund manager, an expert, along with this team of people who are called analysts. They actually manage the money on our behalf. So I'll give you an example. We have a fund called as DSP Equity Fund. It invests into big companies, which are large companies, mid-sized companies and small companies. It invests, there's a fund manager who manages the fund. It's around a 4,000 crore fund, and there are many analysts. One analyst looks at pharma, one analyst looks at banking, one looks at telecom, and there are many analysts, and they figure out good companies and they invest into those good companies from a long-term perspective. What is the advantage of this? When you invest into these businesses, as the businesses make good profits from a long-term perspective, even your stock value goes up and you end up making good amount of returns. So honestly, you don't have to even understand how businesses and companies work. All you have to give it to somebody else who is managing the money for you, and just give time to that investment. It's in a similar fashion. I don't understand medicine. I don't understand how complicated these medicines are made and what is the chemical composition of every medicine which is there. But I know a very simple thing, that if I have X medicine and if I have it based on doctor's recommendation, the medicine will do its work and I'll be fine. I don't have to understand the entire chemistry to actually have a medicine. I have to use a very commonsensical logic. If a doctor has recommended me this medicine, if he has recommended magnesium to have, let me have magnesium tablet because he believes it's good for my body. You don't have to understand the complexity of how companies balance sheet and everything. There's a fund manager who's managing it for you. Now, the objective is very interesting. In fact, I have to just update this data. Let me tell you about the possibility of returns with Sensex or stock markets can give you. I'm sure all of you have heard the word called as Sensex or Nifty. Sensex in simple terms is nothing but the top 30 companies of the country. So if you take the top 30 companies of the country, and I'll just name few of them for you: Reliance, HDFC Limited, TCS, Infosys, Sun Pharma, Cipla, Dr. Reddy's, ITC, Hindustan Liver, and all these companies are the top 30 companies of the country. If you look at the top 30 companies of the country, in the last 40 years, so Sensex started with the value of 100, and as we speak right now, Sensex is right now 45,000. That means if you had invested 1 lakh rupee, and please note this point, if you had invested 1 lakh rupee back in 1980, which is 40 years back or 41 years back, the value today would have been 4.5 crores. Just try to understand and just try to absorb. 1 lakh rupee invested in 1980, the value today would have been 4.5 crores. But the problem and the unfortunate point is the journey is not a straight line. You would have thought that 1 lakh becoming 2 lakh, becoming 4 lakh, becoming 8 lakhs, and the journey would have been a straight line. Ideally, be it investment equity journey or reality, nothing is a straight line. In this journey, you had good periods where equity market did very well. There were periods where equity market even corrected 20%, 30%, 40%. There were again periods when market again did very well. There were again periods where like 4-5 years equity market didn't do anything. And this is how the ups and downs of equity market keeps on happening. But in the long term, businesses create wealth for you. And that's what equity investment is all about. If you have any questions, please put all the questions in the chat box. I'll try to answer all your questions once the session gets over. Now, whatever I said, let me put this into a chart. I know it might sound slightly technical, but let me simplify it for you. In the last 20 years, Sensex has given around 13% return. Okay, but if you look at the journey from 2000 to 2003, okay, Sensex gave no returns. Then during these periods, you might say, okay, I'm making no returns in stock market. It's been 3 years I've invested. Why should I even invest into stock markets? The better option would have been just putting the money in fixed deposit. At least I would have got 6, 7, 8% return. I made a mistake of putting money into equity market. Interestingly, 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, these 5 years equity market gave very good returns. During these times, you will start believing as if, oh wow, all the money should be into equity markets. You're making so amazing returns. 2008, I don't know how many of you know it or you have read history. In 2008, how we are seeing a big kind of recessionary problems in the entire world because of pandemic. In 2008, we had a similar problem where across the world, the stock markets and there was a lot of financial problems across the world. Indian stock markets corrected by more than 50%. 2009, again things recovered, markets moved up, and then markets were almost flat for like 4-5 years. Again, markets started doing well. Again, because of pandemic in 2020, markets got worried about the pandemic. It corrected by 36%. Again, now things have recovered and markets are touching all-time high and they are at 45,000 level. What I'm trying to say is that this is the journey of investments. This is a journey of a businessman. If you ask any businessman, it is not a journey of a service class person. A journey of a service class person is a straight line. A journey of a businessman has ups and downs, but you also know the biggest returns are made by businessmen, and that's why investing into businesses from a long-term objective. When I say long-term, that means like around 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. That's how you make wealth, okay? Because you allow your money to grow because you've invested into good businesses. Now, I'll just try to make it a little more simple for you. I'll explain you a very interesting principle of personal finance. In fact, all the principles which I'm telling you right now, you don't require a very high amount of IQ to understand this. Even if you have a basic understanding of maths, even a class 5th maths will do to understand all the principles of personal finance. I'm sure when you were in class 5th or class 6th, there was a formula for compounding which says future value is equal to present value into 1 plus return. Exponential part is time. The most important part, which is exponential part, is time. I'll introduce a very interesting idea which is called as SIP. What is SIP? The full form is Systematic Investment Plan. It works in a very simple way, in an automated fashion, that you put into an equity mutual fund on a monthly basis. You give a standing instruction that you want to invest a fixed amount of money. It can be 500, 1000, 2000, 5000, 10,000, 20,000, 1 lakh, depending upon how much you are earning. And you keep on allowing your money to grow over a longer period of time. The beauty is that the longer you allow your money to grow, the better the returns from a long-term perspective. I'll just give you a very interesting examples, and I envy all of you because your age is, I'm sure, is around 20 years or 18, 19 years. And let's look at the benefit by which you can make money by using compounding. Let's say, I'm just saying hypothetical scenario, you start investing at the age of 30, okay, mere 5,000 rupees, just mere 5,000 rupees, and you allow your money to grow for the next 30 years. Okay, a simple mathematical formula, just try doing it on an Excel. The value after 30 years, when you retire at the age of 60, the corpus will be 1.52 crores at 12%. But now, if you just say, let me delay it by 5 years, instead of 30, you start at the age of 35, the value will become 84 lakhs. Just 5 years delay, the corpus will become half. 1.52 will become 8.84 lakhs, which is 50% lower. But let's imagine if somebody starts at the age of 25, that 1.52 crores might even become 2.5 crores. And somebody starts at the age of 20, the corpus might even become 4 crores. And that's the beauty of compounding, a very beautiful compounding. The more number of years which you give to your money, the more it grows. And to explain this, let me take a very simple example to explain this. Let's say you have a 1 rupee and it doubles every day. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, and so forth. The more time you give, the money is doubling. In a similar fashion, when you invest and allow your money to grow for a longer period of time, you make money. So if you are saving and investing for a very long-term goal, like maybe if you are 25 or 22 or 21, and if you are saving maybe for buying a house which is after 15 years, or maybe buying your first car which is after 12 years, or maybe looking after your retirement which is after 40 years, if you start saving right now, the amount of money which you can build by a simple habit of a disciplined way of investing through SIP in an equity mutual fund will actually create amazing amount of wealth for you. This is a simple examples of equity. Once you have understood equity, let me explain you now the second asset class, which is an asset class which any which ways we know. It's called as FDs or fixed income. What is FDs? FDs give you returns in line with inflation. And what do I mean by that? Suppose an inflation in simple terms in Hindi is called as Mehengai. If Mehengai in our country is 5-6%, interest rates in the country are also 5-6%. So FDs are good, but they don't help you make returns. They give you returns in line with inflation. Okay, it's like a cricket match. 4s and 6s are like equity. 1s and 2s are like fixed income. You require a combination of both. You require 4s and 6s also because they give you high returns, but they are risky also. But 1s and 2s are also important because they give stability to your portfolio. It's like football. You need forward players. You need defenders also. Forwards help you to score goal. Defenders help you to protecting your team from scoring a goal. Okay, that's the opposition from scoring a goal. So you require a combination of forwards and defenders. So I'll just sum up everything what we are discussing right now in like a couple of points. Okay, first objective is to define your goals. Once you have defined your goals, then based on how much risk you can take, you have to decide how much to put in equity mutual funds and how much to put in debt mutual funds or FDs. And based on the goal and how much risk you can take, you have to decide the right asset allocation. Now, I'll give you certain case studies or examples to you to understand so that how should you achieve your financial goals. And I also tell you some mistakes which I have done in my life when I was doing financial planning. I started earning at the age of 2006. During these times, markets were doing very well, equity markets. So all my money was into equity mutual funds. But that was a mistake. Why? Because I got married in 2009. Ideally, if my goal is after 1 year or 2 year, I should not be putting my money into an equity mutual fund. I should be putting money into something which is very safe, because my goal is after 1 year. Okay, and that was a mistake which actually took place. Since all my money was into equity, in 2008 markets corrected, okay, because of global financial crisis. Markets corrected by 50%, and I lost a lot of money. And that was a big mistake, that if my goal is for short term, I should not put money into equity mutual fund. And if my goals are for long term, then I should also not make a mistake of putting the money into something which is very safe. And after learning from that mistake, now things are better. Now I'm approximately 40 years old. Okay, I've been investing from the last 15 years. Now I'll define you my goals. I've got two primary goals. One is my son's higher education, which will happen after 15 years down the line. And second is my retirement. Since both these goals are around 15-20 years down the line, I have taken more equity in my portfolio, more equity mutual funds in my portfolio, and approximately less debt or FDs in my portfolio. Why? Because my goals are very long term. Okay, that's how typically you should do financial planning. So now, if in case you are saving and investing for maybe like a 2 years down the line, predominantly for your higher education, you can't put your money into equity, because you might get tempted, because markets are doing very well right now. You might be tempted to put money in equity, but that's not the right financial planning. If your goals are after 1 year, 2 year, you should put this money into something which is very safe. Okay, but if you are maybe saving for your marriage, which is around, I'm just hypothetically saying, assuming that you are 20 and you want to plan for your own savings for your marriage, maybe at the age of 26 or 27, and you've got 7 years, then maybe you can have a combination of equity and fixed income to save for that. Okay, so depending upon your goals, you have to decide what is the right asset allocation. Okay, this might be sounding a technical word, asset allocation. Asset allocation means a combination of how much to take risk and how much to keep it in safety. That is a combination which you have to decide based on what are your goals and for what purpose you are saving this money. I'll just talk about certain mistakes which people do generally in life. First is the idea of unfortunately not having a plan and not sticking to your plan. The idea is the temptation of spending, a temptation of overspending and not sticking to your plan is the biggest mistakes which generally people do. This is because we are surrounded in the world of constant social media ideas, where like Facebook, Instagram, and things like that, and it's very difficult to have a self-control, and instant gratification unfortunately doesn't allow us to stick on the plan. The first mistake what people do is unfortunately the temptation of not saving and investing first. Second mistake what generally people do is about the idea of getting carried away by too much gossip information which is there in the media, internet, television, radio, magazines and newspapers. Just keep on telling when the markets will go up, down, go up, down, go up and down. The idea is these are all noise and information. At the end of the day, when you invest into equity mutual funds, which is from a long-term perspective, you are basically investing into good companies. Okay, just 1 second. Okay, so ideally once you have built up a plan, it's ideally not advisable to get carried away by all the noise and information. You have to stick to the plan. And third is we also make a lot of mistake by following others. And I'll give you a very simple interesting idea in terms of how people decide, and I'm sure even in school and colleges and even your placements will decide in a similar fashion. If you ask me, if I look back at my life, why did I did engineering? Because during my time, everybody in college wanted to do engineering. Why did I choose mechanical? Because everybody was choosing mechanical at that time. Why did I did MBA? Most likely I did because everybody wanted to do a MBA at that time. Why did I take a banking job? Because everybody was taking a banking job at that time. There is one thing which is very clear. We generally don't use our common sense. We get too carried away by what others are doing. Most likely when even you will take decisions, and all the decisions which you are also taking in life are predominantly based on what others are doing. We unfortunately look at what others are doing to decide what we should also do. This is called as herd mentality. And I'll give you a very interesting example to explain this. There was a very it's a very interesting story. Once a student who also used to take care of sheep, was asked by a school teacher that what is 5 minus 1. He was very small, around 7-8 years old. He was thinking what is the answer. So teacher asked him a very basic simple question. Imagine there are 5 sheep sitting on the mountain, and if one sheep jumps, how many sheep are left? So he gives a very interesting answer, 0. Teacher says, how come answer is 0? He says, if one sheep will jump, other sheep will also jump. And in a similar fashion, even we also save and invest. We tend to do what? We tend to look at what others are doing. Okay, are they putting into equity mutual funds? Whether they are putting into fixed deposits? Don't do what others are doing. Make your own unique plan. We all are very unique. We all have very different needs and requirements. Make your own plan. Don't follow others in terms of what to do with your money. Have your unique way of planning and investing when it comes to investments. Lastly, unlike other fields where you have to be very active and aggressive to be successful in life, especially when you start studying, you have to be very aggressive, you have to be very active, you have to be very hardworking. But in investment, it has to be the other way around. You have to be very lazy. All you have to do is just build a right plan, what you are saving and investing, and then just build a plan and invest accordingly, and just forget after investing. The more lazy you are after investing, better you will be able to achieve your financial goals. With this, I will end the session, and I'm happy to take all questions which everybody has over here. Thank you. Am I there? Okay, yeah.
Thank you, sir. We now have a clear idea on how to plan our finances, set goals, investments, and plan a budget. Thank you for taking your time and clearing most of our doubts. We'll now have a question and answer session for any additional queries that the participants may have. Participants can post their doubts and questions in the chat box below. Hello. So we do have a few questions from our YouTube audiences. Sir, what are good businesses according to you? Sir, you are on mute.
Okay, so there are two ways of looking at it. Okay, it's very simple. It's very simple. And let's look at common sense. I'll not try to complicate it for you. There are two things. Either you know driving. If you know driving, drive your own car. And if you don't know driving, hire a driver. It's as simple as that. We do the similar principles in life. If I have a good understanding like you, for example, let's say if I have to understand something about chemistry and organics and chemicals, either I be good in it, or I talk to any of you in class and ask you, you know what, can you please help me with that? It's very simple. There are many companies across the world, especially in India. There are many companies. There are big companies. There are medium-sized and small-sized companies. Either you spend a lot of time, energy by reading the balance sheets, and you spend a lot of time researching about them and upskilling yourself to find good companies. That's a one way of doing it. Or if you think, you know what, I don't know. It's good to say what you know and what you don't know. And if it's fine if you say, I don't know which are good companies, but I know somebody out there who's smart and who's intelligent, who are fund managers, it's their whole and sole job how to manage it. Let me outsource it to them and let them manage the money. It's in a simple fashion. We all are getting worried about COVID and we all want a vaccine. There are two ways. Either you study and build your own vaccine, or you just hope that the best companies, the best pharma companies out there, they're going to build the vaccine. You pay them and you just buy the vaccine from them. So in a similar fashion, when you know there are good, amazing fund managers, mutual funds who can manage the money for you, outsource it to them, and then you can invest through them. But I'm not trying to say that you cannot do it. You can do it provided you do your enough research of studying the company, their balance sheets, their companies, their managements, their future outlooks, and then after that you are able to invest. Very well and done. But before that, just because you have a trading account and some random guy on CNBC says buy this stock and you don't know anything about it, you should not invest in that company. I'll just take a little liberty. I know you all are young, so I'll take a liberty of taking a very a different angle to it. Choose stocks, okay? The way, if in case you have to marry someone, okay? Where you try to understand, is that person good for me from a long-term perspective? Don't choose a stock like how typically people choose their boyfriends or girlfriends. Okay, it seems good, let me go for it. Okay, choose stocks where you think from a long-term perspective whether this person is good for me or not. If you don't have that understanding, let mutual funds do it for you.
I would like to add something on this, Amit sir. If
Yeah.
you just permit. One more important thing is the business schedule right nowadays is as early as it was earlier 20-25 years back. Now the business model gets changed on every 3 years, 4 years time, like a kind of a Zomato or Swiggy kind of a company gets a $1 billion company in a 3 years time, 2 years time, where the earlier companies were Tisco, Telco, Larsen, it took a long years to get $1 billion company. So I think it is very difficult because tomorrow if something that clicks, the business will hit. So it is very difficult. I think mutual fund is the best process, which also saves the time, which also organize your money very properly, and the expert works over here, which also saves your time, which also saves your lot of money in a way of certain, maybe if you invest directly into a stock, requires your more attention. So go along with any particular business model. I think the other option is
Sure.
Thank you, sir. I hope his doubt is clear. The next question is, are index funds better than mutual funds? Sir, you are on mute again.
Okay, so I'll give you a difference between an index fund and actively managed mutual funds. Okay, so let me give you an example for it. Okay, and allow me to be a little creative in terms of giving you an answer. Let's imagine I'm a pharma company and I want to hire people. What is index fund? I'll come to your college and I'll hire everyone. Okay, I don't know who is good, who is bad, who is very smart, who is very intelligent. I just pick up all 100 of you and I just hire all of you. That's called as index. So what happens in an index? You take all the 30 companies of Sensex or all the 50 companies of Nifty and you say all are good and you just buy all of them. That's called index. What is active management or an active mutual fund manager? What he does, he tries to understand each and every student. He picks up those students which he thinks are good and he tries to not hire those students which he thinks are not good. So a mutual fund manager tries to cherry pick those companies which he thinks are good from a long-term perspective. But what an index is doing, he is trying to pick up everything which is there, companies which are over there. I'm not saying whether index is good or equity mutual funds are good. Ideally, both are good. Maybe you can allocate some money to index also, like a Nifty, the top 50 companies of the country, and you can also give your money into equity mutual funds. Give your money to both of them. It's not this is good or that is good. Both of them are good. Equity mutual fund tries to give you better returns than benchmark, which is nothing but better returns than Nifty. It tries to give you, and Nifty gives you the benchmark returns. Okay, so both are good. Don't try to compare it because if you try to compare it, sometimes mutual funds do better than Nifty, and there are sometimes when Nifty is doing better than mutual funds. So if you start comparing, one time they will do well, sometimes they will do well, then you always get confused. Have a combination of both of them. Historically, if you look at mutual funds, they have done exceedingly good job of giving better returns than Nifty. So they have done a very exceedingly good job in the past.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, how shall we plan finances if we wish to go abroad in fall 2021? So please unmute yourself.
Okay, if in case you want to go to abroad in 2021, your parents should have planned for you 10 years back, okay? But now, if you are planning, if you are still planning to save and invest after 1 year, okay, then obviously you cannot take risk with that money by just putting the money into equity. You can put that money into something which is very, very safe, okay, because your objective is after 1 year. If your objective is 1 year, then what ideally is the best option? To put your money in something like a fixed deposit or a recurring deposit. What is a recurring deposit? Or a debt mutual fund, okay, which is a SIP in a debt mutual fund. And Rakesh ji will, who's an advisor and a distributor, you can be in touch with him, and Rakesh ji will share his mobile number in the chat box. Okay, he manages around 200 families, helping clients, helping people around the country to manage the money. So Rakesh ji will share his number in the chat box. The idea is for people like you who want to save after 1 year, ideally your money should be something which is very safe. Okay, let's say you need around 3 lakh rupees as a down payment, okay, or a partial payment to go abroad, and the remaining you will take as education loan, or maybe 5 lakhs. Then divide it. If you require 5 lakhs after 1.5 years, then plan how much you have to save or how much your parents have to save every month so that you are able to achieve it. But 1 year is a very short time to achieve big numbers. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money grows by planning from a long-term perspective. If still you are saying 1 year, and let's say you require 5 lakhs in 2 years, I'm saying hypothetical 2 years, that means 2.5 lakh rupees per year, that means 20,000 rupees per month. So if your parents save 20,000 rupees per month in a debt mutual funds, from a 2 year perspective, they'll at least save 5 lakh rupees. Then you will take care of the remaining 5, 7, 10, 15 lakh rupees from an education loan, and you can manage it.
Yes, sir. How smart is it to take an education loan for studies abroad? Are there any precautions to be taken?
See, the precaution which you have to take is don't go abroad because of frustration. Okay, just because you are frustrated with India, don't look going abroad as an excuse to get away from your frustration. Okay, if you are going abroad, it is only with the purpose that you will study well, and with the objective that you have chosen a field and you will do well over there. It is a risk, no doubt about it, because you are taking a big education loan. But if you are hardworking and sincere, you will be able to repay your loan in next 3 to 4 years. Okay, it's an investment. Everybody does investments in life. Even a businessman, when he starts a business, he puts money in the shop or in the plant and machinery with the hope that in the future this business will make profits for me. So when you are taking an education loan, so even the businessman is going to a bank and borrowing money to start a business. So in this case, you are the plant and machinery, you are the business, you are borrowing money and taking risk on yourself. It's fine as long as you are confident enough that when you take this money on yourself, you are confident enough that you will study well, you are smart enough to justify that cost and do well in life. It's a business call you are taking on yourself, and most likely when you take an education loan, that's the biggest motivation for you to study and work hard. Because whenever you have debt debt on your head, that is the biggest motivation. When you are studying with parents paying the fees, it doesn't strikes you that, you know what, just do a simple maths. If your parents have paid a fees of 2 lakh rupees for 1 year, and if you divide by number of classes, each class costs you 5,000 rupees. Can you imagine that? But if you have to pay it from your own pocket and you take a loan, you will value each and every class. So don't worry about it, but be very cognizant in terms of how much loan you are taking. Don't take so much loan that it's such a big burden in your life that you're always stressed out, but don't shy away from the loan also. But I also recommend don't take excess loan, because that will be a too big burden on your head.
Yes, sir, that's very true. So there's one more question. Which is better, loan with collateral and less interest, or loan with collateral and more interest?
Loan with collateral, I think loan with collateral, okay, 1 second. Collateral is in both cases, right? No, in one case there has to be no collateral. So if you give collateral, you will have lower interest rate. If you give no collateral, the interest rates would be higher. So ideally, if I was you, I would have taken a loan without any collateral. Harshi, you are on mute.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I would have taken a loan without collateral, and I would have taken a moderate loan, and I would have then made a plan in terms of how will I repay the loan. But I would have not shied away from taking a loan. That's first. But at the same time, I would have not taken an aggressive loan. I would have taken a moderate loan, because even if something would have gone wrong, I still know I can still pay the loan. Like 2000, all the people who had gone abroad to study, unfortunately they had to come back, and I'm not sure whether they will be able to go back or not. So even if you take a loan and if you know something, God forbid, wrong happens, it should not happen that the loan is so big, because you have done your calculation assuming that you will work abroad. But what if you have to come back to India and you will not be able to pay, and the loan is very big? So do your calculation well. Don't be too aggressive, and at the same time don't be too conservative also.
Yes, sir. So we have only these many questions for now. If there are any more questions, we will take it in the end again. Thank you for solving all the doubts. Over to you,
take a minute. Rakesh ji, if in case you can share your number on the chat box. Rakesh ji is one of the very good distributor of the country. When I say distributor, means he manages clients and their personal finances very well. What answers I am giving you are like generic medicines, okay? And we all know generic medicines are not the right way of giving advice. Every person is very unique. Every family is very unique. Everybody's understanding of life is very different, and everybody's goals and circumstances are very different. Okay, there are no ready-made answers. I tried giving you a ready-made answer, but honestly, they're not ready-made answer. In some cases, taking high loan might be a good option. In some cases, not sending your children abroad and taking a high loan might also be a good option. So Rakesh ji would be in the right position to understand your financial situation, your case and everything, and give you a right solution. So if in case you genuinely want, looking for good, honest advice, so please save Rakesh ji's number. He will help you manage your money. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Over to you, Rakesh, sir, now.
Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah. Thank you, Amit ji. I think very happy with the conversations. I think most of the points you have already covered as far as the industries are covered, and very happy the kind of the knowledge which you have shared. Most of the time, I think human life faces with the three. I think you have already covered, but I just wanted to repeat one more time that the human life started from the various stages where the duties and responsibilities which has been you need to fulfill. The three more important the stage of where you require the higher liquidity and huge money is education. Second is a marriage, and third is a retirement, where you need a huge corpus. So I would definitely wanted to take up this issue to go with the goal-based investments, whether the students are in a position to, if they wanted to go abroad, maybe for maybe like the questions you are having at someone wanted to go for the 2021, how they will plan. So since you said you are already late, I think maybe you are late right now, but I think you can in the future you might be facing maybe some more responsibilities to be covered. So if you, for let's say today in 21, I think you might be having a few months to be covered, where you cannot going to manage around 30-40 lakh rupees, and maybe you must be prepared with few 40%, 50% kind of the amount, and you need to plan for the rest of the 50%. But for the further responsibilities and duties like a marriage or some other stage of life, if you can plan today, like doing an SIPs and investments, which is called a goal-based investments. So I would rather ask the people to go for the goal-based investments, Maybe it is a useful for you today. Maybe it is useful for few of your friends. Pass on this message. Maybe it is useful for your siblings. So I think that's a great, a kind of the information which you will share with your friends and your siblings, and information is being provided to the most of the people in society. Second most important point which I wanted to cover is the inflation, which you have already covered. I just wanted to just have a information to the student that the inflation rate about the education is 4.45% per annum, which is the data has been provided on the Google. So let's assume that 10 lakh rupees which you are providing right now for the same family, you are paying 10 lakh 40,000 rupees for the next year for the same student if any sibling is studying for the next year. So I think only what you need to plan is you should have some sort of investment which is always tame the inflation, and you will make the money, which is only help you to get get at the lending at the age with a chunk of money. Let's say the inflation is at a 4.5. A 17-year of a student who's going for abroad or maybe for the further education at the age of 21, 22 for the masters or MS requires around 30 lakh rupees to today, could be 50 lakh rupees with the inflation at the time. If they'll plan 20,000 rupees, 25,000 rupees in a mutual fund and an equity, which is I think 5 years is a feasible enough time to accumulate this money. Even planning for 25,000 rupees in a 5 years is not enough to achieve the target. Maybe 20,000 rupees at the end of the year could be around maybe around 2.5 lakh rupees, and accumulated value after 5 years could be around 15 lakh rupees, maybe around that. I'm just taking a hypothetical figure, but the person, I mean the student who requires around 30 to 40 lakh rupees presently could be 40 lakh rupees at the end of the 5th year, maybe reach at certain level, say 15 lakh rupees, could cover maybe a first year term fees or first year expenses. So what I just wanted to give a message that thinking today would really going to help you too. So, and especially equity and debt are kind of a mixture of equity and debt, which could definitely going to give you the really good platform to prepare for your goals. This is all which I wanted to just deliver the message. I think most of the point has been covered by the Mr. Amit ji. I'm happy to take any questions if you want. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. There is one question from our professor also. Could you please suggest some stocks for students to invest for long term?
Stocks, very honestly, you need a thorough study, a kind of business model like the questions we had earlier, that which segment is going to go better, like banking and financials. It's too early to land up. We are taking high speed trains rather than getting into the local first and reach to destinations. So I think directly involved into the equity without having an information would be too risky, which I would advise. Stock, definitely it is going to definitely you can take a good decision on the stocks once you have the enough studies and reading. Without enough studies and reading, I think it is very difficult to get involved, because if you just have an example with you guys around, if you will just listen to maybe some elderly people with around in the society, stock market mera kaam nahi hai, I am end up with the losing money. It's not about that. It's about if you involved in any kind of business, you need to have a thorough study about the business. Without the study and without any information, you will end up in making loss in any kind of business. So for the stocks, definitely I would say go have a reading on the newspaper, have a more conversations about finance, study the financial informations and newspapers, and make the investments. So that's my whole answer about.
Okay, thank you, sir. There's another question. As a 20-year-old student in college, where should I start with personal finance and investments?
I think you should start with a little bit amount, whatever the convenient amount. You can talk to me on my phone. I think I have shared with you. You can start with a little bit of systematic investment plan if you must have heard about it. The systematic plan is regularly investing into the equity and debt segments, which is going at particular date and particular time for certain period. That period is making a choice by yours only. That is goal based, as I say. Let's say if you wanted to go at the end of the 5 years, you want some certain amount, you need to plan it today. That after 5 years you would be required, say 30 lakh, 40 lakh or whatever amount. So you can start with investing step by step today through SIP, which is called a systematic investment planning. Again, the risk profile you need to finalize on that, whether you wanted to go aggressive, whether you wanted to go conservative. So all options are available there. So I think mutual fund investment, systematic investment plan is the best answer to you to start with.
Okay, thank you, sir. We now have a clear idea. Sir, there's one more from a student. I'm an undergraduate student who doesn't have a job and not earning right now. So as you said, we have to start with 5,000 rupees. So do we have to pay 5,000 rupees every month or every year? How does it work?
See, options are all available. Whether you wanted to go for, as I said, when you require money and what kind of amount you want, right? That is number one. The option is available for quarterly. The option is available weekly. The option is available monthly. Let's say at the end of the 2 years time or 3 years time, you need certain amount. You have to plan, like Amiji said, you have to stagger these investments into number of months. After 3 years time, suppose if you want 36 lakh rupees, right? You need to plan for 70,000, 80,000 rupees. Maybe you will end up with around 32 lakh rupees. So you will be near to your target. So whatever amount you are planning, just have a thought on it and just stagger these investments to number of installments.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So, what is the simplest financial advice you would give to an 18-year-old?
Simplest financial advice is start an SIP, or maybe at least just to start with 1,000 rupees, or maybe there is option available for 500 rupees to start every month in a large cap equity fund. So within a 1 year or a 2 years time, he will have a very clear picture about it. Again, he can top it up the SIP. So getting more comfort level, he will be more convenient with what is going on with the investments, how the investments are growing, and where exactly the monies are going, and how he is going to get his money back. So I think that's a very good question, and I think 18 years old has a very clear mandate on how he is going to for the investments.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir, for taking all these doubts. I think these are all the questions we have. And if any students and anyone, if you have any other doubts, you can contact Rakesh sir and Amit sir personally. The contact details will be shared with you all.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, Amit ji, for giving us one more time wonderful information and knowledge. Thank you, Banuben Nanavati College. Thank you, Tanvi, especially for giving us a good platform and giving this an opportunity. I think we have giving you all the satisfied answer, and you like the event and webinar.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amit sir. Thank you, Rakesh sir. We now have a very clear idea on how to plan our finances, set goals, investments, and plan our budget. Thank you for taking your time and clearing most of our doubts. I would now like to invite our placement officer, Mrs. Sangeeta, to to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
We would like to thank the Oak Summit team and Mr. Rakesh Kansara, Mr. Amit Grover for enlightening us on the financial planning part, which is a must in the current situation. Equity investments. We didn't know that we always used to think it was very complicated, but Sir has actually simplified it that it is also a backup for our future. I think so today, from today onwards, students will also start saving for investments. And we would like to thank our principal, Dr. Munira Momin, placement cell in charge, Dr. Sujata Savarkar, our faculties, Prachi ma'am, Pramod Kadu sir, Kavit sir, and our students, Tanvi, Laima, Harshi, Smriti, Shruti, Anuj, Hemen, Shreya, and our participants who have always been encouraging us to organize such events. And we also want suggestions from the participants on any topics you all want us to organize. We would love to organize and have such vibrant sessions in the near future. Thank you so much and hope to be we collaborate with some more summits in future as well.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sangeeta ma'am, for this wonderful vote of thanks. Guys, I'd request all of you to kindly fill the feedback form. We have put the link in the chat box. I would also like to thank Munira ma'am, Sujata ma'am, Sangeeta ma'am, and Prabha ma'am to constantly guide and support us. Thank you, Mr. Amit and Mr. Rakesh, for this very informative session, which I'm sure will help us all in planning our finance and investments in a smart and beneficial manner. We extend our gratitude to our beloved audience for such enthusiastic participation. And last but not the least, heartiest congratulations to our team of placement coordinators. Hello. The feedback link will be active till 6 o'clock only. Thank you everyone for being a part of this knowledge-packed session. I'm sure most of us have a clear idea about the whole overseas finance management, and we will have more and more BNCP alumni pursuing their higher education in prestigious universities abroad. Thank you once again. Hello.
Yeah, Tanvi.
Yes, ma'am, the live event has added now.